Welcome back to SN Studios, where we uncover the darkest crimes, the bravest acts of courage, and the shocking truths hidden behind the headlines. If you haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because today's story is one you won't forget. This is the tragic case of Tasawar Hussain, a father, a husband, and a hero whose bravery cost him his life. Bradford, England, January 2003. It was just another cold winter's day in Manningham until chaos broke out at the Medina Travel Agency on Lum Lane. Inside, staff were preparing to handle wages and takings totaling £140,000. But waiting in the shadows was a father and son pair of career criminals, Derek and Barry Eleanor, armed, dangerous, and desperate. The Eleanors stormed the agency, carrying out a violent armed robbery. Staff screamed for help as they watched their livelihood disappear. And that's when fate brought two men to the scene. Tasawar Hussain, known as Tassi, and his friend Azran. Tasawar wasn't a policeman. He wasn't armed. He was just a 36-year-old father of two, one of his daughters still unborn. But when the staff shouted, "Follow that car," Tasawar didn't hesitate. The robbers fled in a Nissan getaway car driven by 65-year-old Derek Eleanor. But Tasawar and Azran gave chase in their BMW, racing through the streets of Bradford. It was a dangerous pursuit, but Tasawar refused to back down. Justice mattered more than his own safety. Eventually, in a quiet side street, the chase came to an end. The robbers were cornered. It was now face to face. And then, tragedy. 42-year-old Barry Eleanor stepped out. He raised his gun, and at point-blank range, he pulled the trigger. The bullet pierced Tasawar's heart. In seconds, the courageous father collapsed to the ground. He died not as a victim, but as a hero, standing between armed criminals and the public he sought to protect. Tasawar's second daughter was born 6 months later, a child who would never meet her father. The judge would later say that Mr. Hussain was a man of outstanding courage, who had given his life for the public good. Tasawar Hussain wasn't just another name in the news. He was a man who acted in the interests of justice and paid the ultimate price. When the case finally came to trial, the courtroom heard the shocking details. Barry Eleanor, who fired the fatal shot, showed no remorse. The judge told him directly, "When Tasawar bravely stood in your way, you deliberately took aim and shot him at close range." Barry was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 27 years to serve. He was also given 22 years for a previous armed robbery to run concurrently. His father, Derek Eleanor, the getaway driver, also received life. At 65 years old, he was expected to die behind bars, and in fact, he eventually did. After serving around 20 years at HMP Home House, Derek Eleanor died in August 2024. He was 85 years old, and according to the prison's ombudsman, the cause of death was urosepsis, a complication of a urinary tract infection. A man who lived his life in crime died in prison. Tasawar Hussain's story is one of courage, sacrifice, and tragedy. This has been SN Studios. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.